What's happening, guys? Today we are trying something new. We have the Ray-Ban AI glasses on, and we are going to do a video all with these glasses. So today what we're going to start tackling is the doors. Wrapping the doors. Okay, so you can tear these down like this. You can not at all. I chose to strip them down, one because I had some older vinyl behind some of the hinges and the door handles. So to get these out, there is a Torx bit on the front door. There's a little like cover thing that you have to poke a hole through, and then the last time I did it, I just put a new piece of vinyl over it to cover that hole back up. That releases, you pop the piece here, slides out, and then this comes out. There's wiring if you have power locks and stuff. The rear door, this one, you actually have to pull the weather stripping out a little bit, and then it's that hole there. I think it's Torx 40 that goes in there. The rear door, because it has that window that sits here, you do have to pull this panel. There is a screw back here, a screw here, a screw here, and a screw here. Pull those out, the rest of it just pops off. There is one bolt that holds the window in. I believe it's an 8mm here. Take that bolt out, and then you just pull the weather stripping, and then this window, you just lean forward, and then it pops out. There is a gasket thing that runs down here that you have to pull out a little ways. I left the windows in. You can pull the windows out. If you do, the back window, there is an 8mm or a 10mm. One bolt down here you take out, it sits in a blue. You have to move the window up and down until it lines up with the hole. Pull that bolt. The front window, there is two of them down here, one into a white clip, one into a blue clip. Same thing, pull those out. With it, I just chose to leave them in. Less chance of them getting broken. But, so then there's three bolts here that pop the mirror off. I believe those are 10 mils as well. Same thing, all the weather stripping on the front door, you do not have to remove the inner panel to remove the front trim. It just all pops out. Good to go, same thing there. As I did with the... So as I did on the hinges up front, I am going to take the hinges off and wrap behind these. This is where a lot of that corrosion is coming from the factory. There's no coating behind it. It's just the door skin. So I will get this door pulled off here, make sure it's unhooked and everything. I am going to do mine on the table here. So I'm going to go grab the Torx 50 and a wrench, and we'll get those hinges pulled off here. Alright, so these are a Torx 50. If you have not pre-broke these loose, do so with a hand wrench, not power tools. You will have to hammer the bit in there just because of the clear coat, the paint and stuff, but it is a Torx 50. So pound those in and then break them loose by hand, which is what I did already. And then we'll get these pulled off here, and you will see what I'm referring to, that these are not covered behind the hinges here. There. Now, why they figured that this was the great idea, I have no clue. But you can see, like, even where it starts to pull up here, like, it's not even sealed, and that's where you're getting all the driving rain, salt, everything is in there, and it just starts corroding. So get this taken care of while before it starts corroding, because man, once it is, you got to repaint the whole thing, or rewrap the whole. I'm just rewrapping. So I'll get this last one pulled off, and we'll get the first piece of vinyl cut. All right, so we got these hinges pulled off, cleaned up. Make sure you mark which one goes where, so when you put them back on. We got a 5-foot roll. These doors don't wrap very well because they're like 45 inches, 46 inches tall, and I think 38, 37 and a half. So we'll do 5 feet the long way. We want a little overhang, so we'll probably cut it around 40 inches. And we'll go over here and get ready to cut our first piece. So I'm going to pull this out to 40 inches. All right, so there we are. There's that. Yes. So we got the rest of our colors hanging up there. We'll bring this over, get this roughly laid out, get it trimmed down before we put it on. We'll be back in just a second. All right, so we got this trimmed down a little bit to fit a little better. Again, I am very inexperienced at wrapping. The first really thing that I had wrapped was the last wrap that I had done on the Jeep, and that was just I'd cut out pieces of vinyl. And kind of put them on like stickers. This technically is the first like full wrap that I am doing. I struggled a lot the first time, even trying to get it to go around stuff. So I went on a couple forums and asked questions as to how, why, what was I doing wrong. And a lot of what people said was, it's the wrap you're using. I was trying to use Vivid, which I guess if you're a good professional wrapper, you can get it to work, but I could not get it to lay down. I could not get it to, it's really thick. Just really hard to work with. You could not get it to peel back up like this to relay. Obviously, I am still not a professional, but practice, practice, and practice. This, what I've switched to now is, this is Avery Dennison. The two products I'm using to do this wrap, this color selection stuff that I chose, is 3M and Avery. Both of them, they just lay down so nice and glass out so nice. It is crazy just what different product, a little different product can do. In the learning process. I was basically told you'll spend as much redoing with cheap vinyl as you will. Alright, and part of what I wanted to do with this channel is show struggles. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to vinyl wrap. There's a lot of stuff that I've obviously done to this Jeep that I've kind of taught myself along the way. And a lot of it is just learning, trying. If it doesn't work, trying to see what did I do wrong, what can I do different. How can I do better next time? So I am going to film my struggles and people can critique if they want, or how much better they are if they want. But it's learning. Life's about learning. I tried to instill that in my son, that you should never stop learning. I don't care if you're 90 years old. There's always new things to learn. Trying to get that across to a teenage kid is not always the easiest. But so for me, like, there's a little wrinkle there. Again, learning. I can tell you again, with the cheaper vinyl, I had a lot of wrinkles that I don't seem to get with the nicer wraps. So, all right, so there were to the point where we got most of it laid down here. So now what we're going to do is bring some heat in to press it in around these edges here. You don't want the vinyl super warm when you're doing this part. Just enough that it'll relax a little bit into that seam. You'll be able to push your air bubbles to the open, so the vinyl's open back here. So pushing those air bubbles that way so that we don't have to poke a hole in them. Way down. So if you get the vinyl like that, then you can come back and just hit it with some heat and it'll usually relax back. And just let that like so there. Alright, so that side piece will be ready to cut out there. Let this one cool back down. So like so. So those pieces are done. All right, we will continue up. So this will be where the mirror cutout is. A little wrinkle starting, so just pop that up. Like so. Right, put this with a little heat to kind of seat everything, and you'll see if you have any loose spots. So when it comes to forming this in around the window, slow heat. You don't want to try to seat everything at once, or I don't. I seem to get air bubbles trapped if I do that. So you don't want to get the vinyl super hot, just get enough to make it pliable. It's got a little wrinkle there. Pull it out. Alright, we just have the door handle area to do. When I do these, I am actually going to not cut out for the keyhole. I don't need the keyhole, and in the chance that I do, if battery dies, whatever, I will just poke a hole in the vinyl at that point to get into it. A son had got me some like American flag covers that go over it anyway, so I will just put those over and you'll never know. So same thing, just not hot, just enough to get it to slowly form and work that air out. Might have to poke a hole in that one, we'll see. So for where the grab handle is, there's no opening here, so you want to go down in the middle here first and then work everything towards each side because there's open for that air to go. So I'm going to poke a little hole at the bottom of it, and then I'll work from the top back down to the hole. And that air stretched the vinyl a little bit, so come back with a little heat. Let that kind of cool off again a little bit. And then come down like such. Hit it with heat one more time. Like that. Alright, so we got everything trimmed off the sides here. Sorry, glasses had to charge. They don't last very long, but they come in handy for showing stuff like this. So I got the outside trimmed, you know, however much you want to leave over. And then we're going to trim the window now. A nice, fresh, cracked blade makes trimming so much easier than a dull blade. And like doing this part, I'm so glad I took the weather stripping out, because I don't have to worry about tucking it in behind, and I don't know how much cleaning you do. There's always more dust and dirt that comes out of those weather strippings. I'm just gonna set that there for a second because I got the hinges to do, so I'll be able to use that piece to do the hinges. So we got, I need to cut out for the mirror. Fish that out in a minute, and we're just gonna cut for the bolts for the hinges. And then we're gonna cut out here. All right, so we're going to come back and post heat the panel, and then we'll be back and I'll start sealing all the edges down. All right, so now I'm just going to, a little heat, I'm just getting it to start bending around the edge of the door. Again, not all at once, just in your corners. I like to pull just a little bit. Like that. Same thing here, pull it a little. All right, now to wrap this hinge, I I find it helpful to warm the hinge up first, just with the heat gun for a little bit. It helps keep the vinyl a little more pliable, workable. So the first step before, I guess, putting this on, I already did it, is kind of cut like a circle piece out to put on the top. And then lay this piece on, and we're just going to kind of slowly keep stretching it around and into the hinge. We'll hit it with heat as need be, but for the majority of it, we won't need to. This is again where that using better vinyl, there is no way I would have been able to do stretch that vivid. Like this. Nothing against vivid, I guess, if that's what you're used to using, but this is definitely way better. We're going to bring this up and around like so. All right, so there we go. Got hinges wrapped, put back on. I have not done the bolts yet because obviously I'm gonna have to do some alignment adjustment. Once I am done with that, I'll just put a piece of vinyl over it, heat it, press it in. But yeah, we'll get everything put back together. Doors aren't going back on for a little while yet, so we won't see the finished product till later. But hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about using the glasses for this type of filming. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.